Yo, what's up, guys? Balance patch review of May. I do also have the balance predictions that we had from last time. Funny thing is, there are a few things pretty correct, which is kind of funny, which I did not really expect, but let's just go through them. First of all, we have the Gandalf getting less attack bar, and I think that is actually one of those. Yep, that's exactly what I said over here. Let's just narrow this one down a little bit to this. This is all we need pretty much. But yeah, this is one that I expected. So we have the increased cooldown going down, which is mainly the nerf on the combination of the Gandalf plus Josephine, and also makes him a little bit more less obnoxious for moment you AoE and it's just full shotting the whole team to like a attack or like 80 attack bar and that kind of shit. So good. This thing is the Fire Gandalf is the You Cannot Pass, which was the skill 3. Can we just move this? Thank you. Now it's going to be attack the enemy one time, remove all beneficial effects, disturb HP recovery, and then damage increase. Okay. I'm not really sure if that is a buff or a nerf, because additional damage artifact value goes down. Even if you improve the damage output, it is still quite a bit less for value. And you have the disturb recovery right now, but strip disturb recovery, I don't really feel it. Next one, the Wisest, which is the one that's... Oh no, wait, they did not nerf the S2, so therefore it's not an issue. When granting a shield, you also decrease the chance of getting a critical hit. Ooh, might be a decent one for anti... But how are you going to get a shield on the units if you're doing the anti-cleave? Well, I can see this unit being placed next to a Windy. This unit next to a Windy could be pretty annoying because Windy will guarantee shield on the whole team except itself. Imagine the Windy in the old balance patch. Then it could be something that could be kind of annoying for like a random defense or something like that. And he has the 115 base, that is true. Light Gandalf. When you take fatal damage and if the skill is not on cooldown at the moment of death, revive with 30% activation. So, did they remove the fatal damage part? If the skill is not on cooldown, the moment of death, revive with... But wait, do you revive yourself? I'm not sure about that part. Because the revive self part doesn't really state it, right? I guess revives implies self. And then activate this skill, which revives the rest of them. But you can reset it right now. So I guess that's... Yeah, moment of death. So, okay, I guess the only change is that you can reset the skill right now. That's the main thing. Okay. That's fine, I guess. Dark One. Okay, did they actually do something proper with this? They just up the rate of stunning. I don't know. He's cooked by Zyros right now. Yeah, he's heavily... I think Zyros is the main thing that messes him up right now. But now also a Pungbeak can one-shot it. Because Pungbeak or anything that has ignored death can one-shot it as well. Like before, only Grogan actually worked properly against it, but now many things work against it. Now you can also nerf these. That's true. So this one is a lot weaker right now for arena defense. A really lot weaker. Because so many more units can kill it right now. But this one is Final Lightning. When on cooldown. Wait, which skill is that exactly for the Dark? Is that why you have to use the S3 and then you start stunning on the rest of the skills or something? Yeah. Okay. I guess. I don't really feel that buff neither. Similar to the Fire one, I don't really feel the buff. Dragon Warrior, Water, Wind, and Light on the skill 2. Each hit has a 40% chance to disturb recovery. And 2 turns... wait, so everything... Didn't that used to be like 100% activation? Didn't you change 100% activation to a 40% activation? Damn, that is a really big change. That makes Solvark really bad. Viridian will probably need like a pretty substantial buff for that as well. But that is a lot less, because you're definitely not going to be cycling on that one. Your Solvark is gone. Like, Solvark is only in the skill 3 right now. Irration will still be played because of the 33 lead and the skill 3. but the skill 2 becomes a lot less. You still have decent. I also wonder if, because this is 100% activation right now, I feel like that this should go at least to a 50% by changing these, but they don't mention that they changed that to add in some percentages for skill ups. But I feel like that they should get some skill ups in that skill to at least be a 50. Like lowering something down from a freaking 100% to a 40% is fucking crazy though. Like those are insane numbers. I expected it to go down to like 50, but or 75, but like 40? It's insane. Absorb still 100%. Could it be? It kind of, right, each hit has 40% chance to this and absorb the attack bar. It doesn't necessarily mean and the attack bar is 100%. It could be that the and part implies 40% as well. So I'm not sure about that. If it's just the disturb recovery or disturb HP recovery for 40%, then it's kind of a fine buff. It doesn't change as much because you just want to land at once, which you're just gonna land worse on wrong element. But if this part, the absorb, is also 40%, it's kind of hard nerf. But we'll see, we'll see. I guess it could be, it would be both, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Dark or the light Aragorn is recover 10 to 15% when reflecting harmful effects. Makes him easier to 1v3 in Siege. I've seen some people do that, but not too sure. Fire Aragorn, if your HP is at full at the start of your turn, defend the ally with the lowest HP for 1 turn. Okay, that enables you to... I kind of like that buff. It enables you to defend multiple targets. Not the craziest, but I kind of like that. Ooh, now we have the big one over here, and they went for the stupid nerf. They went for this one over here. They are gonna make the Dark Aragorn each hit as a 50% chance to increase cooldown by 1 turn. That is 50%. So if the RNG is good, you're still gonna get 3 turn increased. If the RNG is bad, you're gonna get a 0 increase. That is such a come to us thing to do. It's like, yeah, we can make a consistent unit be a little bit less good by just lowering certain values. Or we have RNGesus take the wheel. Yeah, RNGesus take the wheel. I think the unit's still good though. Because the skill 2 is still good, you can at least still pretty much, like, you're gonna have less chance of landing these things, but yeah, I think that this is still a good unit. He's definitely not gone. Like, the people that say Dark Aragorn is, like, gone? No. No, because if you land, at least, you're gonna land on average 1 to 2 on every unit, which is still good. If you land 3 on the unit, you're hella fucked still. So I think that Dark Aragorn, he's gonna go down from a 57 win rate to probably a 53 or 52. Hellhounds, what do we have for the Hellhounds? Is that also the thing that we expected? Wait. That is the one over here. Yeah, that's actually kind of what we expected as well. So the crit rate goes from... I expected a harder nerf actually, or harder nerf actually. It is this instead. So not too bad, not too bad. So crit rate is lowered, which kind of makes sense, what do we have next? I think that Shumar is actually still playable. It's just harder to rune Shumar. But he's still good. He lost his damage reduction, did he? Wait, did he lose his damage reduction? Decrease the damage. Oh, wait, you are right. Yeah, no, I didn't read the first part. I read the first part as in, like, was before. If they reduce, okay, he's done. He's done. No, he's done. Offense-wise, okay. RTA-wise, terrible. He is, I would say, his siege offense unit now. Shumar's done. Like, this part kills Shumar. That part, I expected just the damage decrease to be there. Or the damage decrease to be there. And the only nerf they would have done, I expected this to be the only nerf to do. And maybe lower this. Not completely, like, chop it. But they hard chopped it. So, Shumar's gone. We're not going to be seeing much Shumar anymore. Also, even for Siege, don't expect to see much more Shumar. No. Shumar's done. They free-to-play unit, chop it. So, GG on the Shuma. We also got the Luck Vampire with a Primer. Thank you very much. Then we have next Chimera skill 3, Crush. The selected target will always land as a critical hit. That is actually kind of nice. That is actually... I want to see what is the multiplier on Theor skill 3. Because normally you build Theor without any crit rate. 8.2 guaranteed crit. It's not speed scaling though, but those are pretty decent numbers. So, yeah. I like that because you're never building a high crit rate on Theor, and now you can at least guarantee crit on the one unit you're targeting on. Does it make it meta? No. Probably not. 95 base, yeah. I think they did not address any bases or leads, which is kind of like lowering the value of the develop badge. But sure. Dokubi Lord, we have decreased the attack bar from 60 to 80 if your HP is over or higher than the enemy. Is okay. Wait, do you absorb with that? You had some absorb mechanic. I think the absorb mechanic was lowered in prior patches, but do you absorb the whole thing or something? Do you just... Oh, you don't rotate anymore at all. You just absorb more. Is it something... I could see him being used, but I don't really expect him to be that interesting. Shadowcast of Water is now recovers 100% of your counter attack dealt. Kind of makes him where you can put him more towards violent, but it also, I guess, only works for the counter, because I guess that this part is just the counter for you, and not the whole kit. Where is unit at? Yeah, that's just this one. So the moment you counter with this, you get healing from that. So if you're vamping, you're over vamping, but he is a more viable pick on violent right now. That's the only thing I would say. Then we have oracles. Oracles. Interesting. Daydream, put everything to sleep, decrease the cooldown of all allies by 1 turn, and recover for less. How many turns cooldown is Daydream? Because that's a pretty big change. Daydream is 4 turns of cooldown, but you also lower yourself. So you're lowering... That's actually not a bad buff. That's like... I kind of like that, to be honest. Because the sleep also put the sleep shit to yourself. So I assume you're not putting yourself to sleep anymore. It doesn't necessarily state that. But assuming you don't put yourself to sleep anymore. Like, that's the weird part. It doesn't state it where the self-sleep part is still there. But lowering cooldowns, healing for a decent amount. Because lowering the cooldown also means that you lower the cooldown on your own skill. If she has self-sleep, she's trash. If she doesn't self-sleep, she's good. But if she does self-sleep and cooldown decrease, then it's pretty ass. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily state here, but removing the sleep on the enemy but still keeping the self-sleep would be really weird. But if it self-sleeps, it's ass. Lima! One that I asked before for Lima to change the awakening from the S2 to the S1, but they went for the following. We remove all beneficial effects with a 90% chance. This goes to 100 with the skill ups. Inflict continuous damage equal to the number of buffs removed for 2 turns. In addition, decrease their attack speed for 2 turns. So they actually went for the things that I asked for both, kind of, which is an interesting one. That is kind of an interesting one right there. So in that case, if the enemy has... So the thing that I asked for was that you have as many dots that you have. Well, you're actually going to do both. Because normally this Awaken removed one thing, which was the dots. Now the dots are still there and the slow is there. It also reads that the slow needs no condition. That is true as well. So slow without strip. That seems to be true as well. That's actually, yeah, interesting. That is interesting. And it's also higher rate. Because this used to be, this is an 80 rate for the other oracles. Or for the Juno, this is an 80 rate. And for Lima, it's a 100 rate. Which, of course, has Heigang issues. But that is definitely usable. Only issue on Lima is 100 base and you want to make her a main strip. She has really good base stats, though. Like, her HP base stats, like, she has the best base stats out of all oracles by a long shot. because of the crazy high HP. But yeah, this will go to 100%. Yeah, this part is also the decrease, if successfully removed, is no longer there. So I guess that the slow is always there, which is not a bad one. It's not a bad one. But it gets even better. Start and in the end grants immunity on all allies for 2 to 3 turns. Or it used to be 2 turns. It's going to be 3 turns right now, which is also 4-turn cooldown, which also makes her on par with a Velojul and a Wusa, where you only have 1 turn off immunity, which is really big. She's going to be used, absolutely. I don't think she will be a revenge, like back in the days where I used her as a triple revenger. She will be a violent. Via will be the most common thing. You could go Vio Nem, but I think Vio Will is probably the highest value, because proccing out of a stun providing start of the end is just crazy strong. So yeah, Lima is definitely balance patch winner so far, is what it looks like. Nina Williams, water, fire, and dark. The first shot is higher chance to strip. No one gives a shit. Units are still bass. The fire one, isn't that a 4-star? Destroy enemy max HP. Yep, it's now dealing ignore defense. Ooh, okay. Okay, wait. Nina Williams of fire. I'm pretty sure that is a 4-star, no? 4-star with ignore defense. That is something. Which one is that? Is that the skill 3? Yeah. This one? Ooh, this becomes an ignore defense right now. Okay, well, really have to see how much damage output there is. That is the main thing, because they do mention like the damage output is this is just really on like how are the multiplies. Multiplies could be good, could be nice. If not, kind of ass. Wind one is cooldown on this one. -1 cooldown. Kind of becomes a weird PvE-ish unit, but you're not gonna be a PvE unit with that kind of skill, I guess. So I don't really see it. Water and Dark is recovery or HP when grant harmful effect on the enemy. Okay, I guess. Mainly for you, because you become a little bit more bruiser-ish value with that, I guess. Which is the Hangover. Oh, no, wait, are we? No, wait, we're looking at the wrong units. That is the Paul. It is too early, boys. It is too early. Paul Dark. I never used that unit in the first place. That is a 4-star, no? So the shoulder smash thingy, no, that's their S2, of course. So this one. Okay. Yeah, not feeling it. That doesn't change it. Wind one. Ooh, that one. I did mention this one to become a counter to a Aragorn. And he seems to be that he could be. At the start of your turn, decrease the cooldown of all allies, excluding yourself, with the highest attack bar for 1 turn. Wait. Of the ally. No. 1 ally, not all allies. If it was all allies, it would be OP. If it's 1 unit with the highest attack bar, it's a something. It's still kind of like uncontrollable where it goes to. You have a pretty mediocre skill 2 and skill 1-ish for the kid on the skill 3. But increasing some cooltime here and there, yeah, not too bad. Don't really see it becoming super viable, though, right away. Then we have some Trisses. Each hit conflicts... wait, we have block harmful effects on these right now for water, wind, and light. Water and light are pretty usable on Triss, which is this one. Which is, I guess, then the skill... Is that the skill 2? Oh, wait, we're talking Triss. This is not a Triss. Triss is the other one. From here, I can find Triss. Triss is this thing. Flame Burst. Is that Flame Burst? It is Flame Burst. Okay. So that is the continuous damage with the remove harmful effect. Do we change the harmful effect? Wait, what is the change? Each hit, first hit. Oh, okay. So now each hit does both. Okay, yeah, an improvement. Man, sometimes I have to find what the fuck is the change. But each hit does both. Adds a little bit more continuous damage, but still doesn't really make it much better than a Lamilla-Trix Amber combination to go now for Dot Team or something like that. However, Dark Triss ignore defense if the enemy is granted by a harmful effect. She already throws enough harmful effects by herself on this skill that you will guaranteed get that in the first place. So she becomes... Well, the thing is you still have to put a debuff to the enemy. But at least right now you can just Chiwu skill 3. And with the Chiwu skill 3 you already have a debuff on there. And then you can already nuke the full damage output with the Triss. So Triss becomes a lot more usable. Because before she was like, oh, a Lucian with more setup. Kind of. But at least, like, let's say you're going for Cleave in Siege right now. You could go for a Chiwu, Bastet, and then a Triss. And you already full ignore defense. Which... I think that she's kind of decent-ish. Damage output isn't crazy. You kind of do want the brand. So in that case, well, at that time you already had 2 debuffs. But you could say that you go for, let's say, a Chakra. Chakra has the brand. Like any stripped brand. There's a few of them out there. Wait, do they want to force in Daisy or something? Because you have a few stripped brand units right now. Because you have a stripped brand... But I think Daisy also has a strip brand, no? Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a setup with a Daisy, to be honest. And Daisy has an attack lead. So if you go for Daisy, Crack, and then Triss, Daisy is inconsistent, that is true. But you have an attack lead on these. Wait, what is the lead on this thing itself? Do you even have a lead? Triss, do you have a lead? Also has attack lead. A little bit less of an attack lead. Well, then I would just go Chakra. Chakra, Crack, plus this thing, everything dies as long as you're faster than the enemy. Makes it usable, so I'm not against it. Then we have the Justice Fire. Attack the enemy, decrease their... Wait, decrease their HP by 15%. Up to 60. Okay, that goes to 25. Up to 75. And then ally... Okay... This thing is actually one of the very few strips that is guaranteed, right? Yeah. Irresistible. So, it's not a bad unit per se. I think that this thing could be used. It's just kind of hard where the lead isn't as interesting and it doesn't boost attack bar like a Tiana. But this thing is the closest thing that comes to a Tiana, plus it does already do damage. And now actually has substantial damage, where also skill 1, skill 2. This skill 2 is definitely not that bad neither. So I could see that thing being used if it adds a little bit more damage. I'm not too sure. Wait, I already read the Sky server, but what actually changed? So effect change installs a bomb that detonates after 2 turns, excluding the target. Wait, that was already the case, right? Oh, including the target. So everything has 2-turn bomb right now? Double bomb on the target. Ah, okay. That is the change. So 2 bombs on the main target, but one of those 2 bombs is half damage. Okay. That is actually pretty good. That makes him best bomber in game once again. You could always argue... No, I actually argued him for best bomber in the game already before. Because before he had the Jojo... Or no, not Jojo. Libli was the biggest counterpart. Libli does more damage, but this one, the skill 3, has a lot more value with the cooldown increase and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's a 3-turn CC. That's actually pretty nasty. We got Perna with a cooldown decrease, so we respect Perna proccing enough to get passives back right now. Is that what we're doing? I guess that's what we're doing. How long is that cooldown? So that goes down to what, 5? No, that goes down to... Yeah, 5. Okay, well, proc 5 times and you get your passive back. Congratulations! Puppeteer is steal all beneficial effects. Ooh. I kind of like that for a Zima, no? Never was a Zima fan in the first place. But stealing attack buff to give your next rotation attack buff bomb? Anything like that? Steel in the end, we noticed that with... It also is a pretty loaded skill. So we have silence, we have steel, we also have preventing them from removing harmful effects. It's just that he has the element against him. If this was on a light or a dark where he didn't have elemental issues, it would have been nice. Personally, I don't think I will use him that much, but I definitely could see him being used. We also have Smicer coming back with a high chance to steal on, remove from this. Okay. Nemzima will be a problem? True, Nemzima is definitely a thing, yeah. But yeah, removes the beneficial effects for 70. Sure, I guess. Hungbeak is the real winner of the balance patch, boys. Hungbeak is the real winner of the balance patch. 10% damage approved. It is not 8% damage approved. Well, to be honest, Hungbeak kind of deserved it because even with this, Hungbeak is still outshined by a Zyros by a really long shot. I would even say that a Rig, which is the Fire Eater Dory, still outshines this thing outside of like the special effects. But in general sense, I think it's fine. Then we have Jinkasama on this. Okay. So we have deals proportional to the difference for the enemy. Now it deals attack if your attack is higher than the enemy. So there's no proportion thing. Does it make this Jin good enough? It could do a good amount of damage, I guess. It does have multi-hit Oblivion, but I guess you kind of have to start off with a strip. It's kind of the same issue as Destiny, where Destiny at least defense breaks. So it's still a weaker version of a Destiny by a long shot, and even Destiny is barely used. The Dark One is Grant Soul Protect, invisibility and immunity on yourself for 1 turn each. Yeah. I don't know if that's really... It's better than the Soul Protect. I like it better than the Soul Protect, that's for sure. Wait, can you cycle this skill similar to the Dark Rig? Skill doesn't go on cooldown. Oh, if the enemy is defeated. So if you kill every time, no, the Dark Itadori is still way stronger. We have the Light Nobara trying to become a Molong. Still, she's kind of getting there. I think still kind of mid. At least it is a lot more damage output. But still kind of mid-ish. Light Legolas. Ooh, we're gonna go for the stacking. Okay, I expected them to do some different kind of stacking rather than just upping grades, but we're gonna go up by 10s and up to 150. That is a lot of attack and defense, though. That is a lot of attack and defense on that unit. So, is he per se usable? I'm not sure, but for additional damage by attack, if you stack this up to 150, give him an attack buff, his additional damage artifact value should be very strong. Or even just putting him crit rate, crit damage, and then not that much attack. That should be pretty decently strong, though. Artmaster on Dark. Mukul. Haven't seen that one in a while. Decrease the allies from... Or the targeted... Wait, the allied target's chance to receive... Wait, is that only the one you throw the threat on? The threat state? I guess so. So it's not a full team anti-crit. It's just a targeted anti-crit. Yeah, no, fuck that. Sure, harder to kill, but yeah, no, don't care. Bayek on Dark. An Eagle on a blade disc randomly at the enemy for 1 turn. Now decreases defense. We love changing Sahat for random shit. But a random death break makes him siege defense potential. He's still pretty trash, but RNG death break is exactly what you're looking for in siege defense, so I could see him being used in siege defense. Also, it is 1 turn. Like, why the fuck is it 1 turn? Yeah, if this was a 2-turn death break, we would have been talking. Branding already did that. Branding doesn't have a crazy high upper hand of drawing in targets or other targets. Death Break does have that. But yeah, it should have been 2 turns. If it was 2 turns, I would have classified it good. If it's 1 turn, still pretty ass. Brown Imitation. Uh-oh. Are we gonna go for some Orion Morris bullshit right now? Uh-oh. Harmless Pranks. Disturb Recovery is gonna be granting Oblivion. It's still one turn of Oblivion, so it's not that crazy. So I don't think so. But we're gonna see some Orion coming back into RNG flavors. Ninetales Fox on Water, Wind, and Light. Soul Snatcher is an attack bar absorb. Isn't that an AoE skill? Isn't that the AoE strip even? No, I guess it's not the AoE strip. Shihua, where are you at? Or this thing? Steal beneficial effect. Okay, it is a one target. So absorb, steal. Okay. Then we have the fire one. Enemy defeated by this attack cannot be revived during battle. Okay, that is what they're trying for, a Morris counter. So the skill 3 actually has pretty good damage output. This skill is pretty nasty because it's a 5-time multi-hit. It does leave brand, and it is increased damage if the unit is already under brand. So this skill can do a good amount of damage even without a death break. With death break, this thing should just straight up kill. So I guess that they're trying to make Shihua as a core Morris counter in bruiser fights. Okay. Then we have the dark one is if asleep attacks with 100 crit rate, now guarantee crits. I guess the only implication for that is against mollies, against kinkies, and against having a glancing. But outside of that, nothing too crazy, but sure. Oh, then we have some Phantom Thieves. I haven't seen those in a while. Wow, Lure goes for 70 attack bar decrease. Doesn't he go up in value after that as well? So that is the dude with the death break. Cannot be glanced. Okay, doesn't go up in rate, but 70 down. That's a big pushback, though. I would have to say I would still rather see a Truffle than a Lure because of the multi-hit. So still don't really feel him. Arrest also goes up, so double buff on that. Attacks the enemy, and now we have a high stun chance. Sure. Showtime has 30 extra crit bonus. Why the fuck would you do that? That's the AoE hit, right? Yeah. Who cares? Sure. Then we have the light one, Illusion, as now for if your HP is at 50 or 70. Decreases the cooldown by 3. Did you already have that shit? I legitimately didn't even know you had that shit in there. I knew the first part of the skill. I never knew about this part of the whole skill. Still pretty ass. Dark one is grant Vampire to yourself on one turn when attacked with a glancing hit. So now you don't only get the invisibility, you also get Vamp. Makes him a little bit better. It's not the worst. It's not the worst. And then we have the Cannon Girl. Fixed an issue where she was smart, and now we make her like a baseball bat to the fucking face. Dumb again. Damn. Okay, one question, however, whichever intern wrote this balance patch was not that bad. But where's base speeds improvements or awakening changes? Where's leader skill changes? Where yeah? Where that shit? In all honesty, I might be biased on this one because I do like the Lima change. I'm okay with the Gandalf change. I'm surprised that the Zenitsu is not addressed. I'm happy with the Gandalf nerf. I'm okay with the Schumer nerf. Schumer nerf was definitely needed. Or a Schumer nerf actually meant that Gandalf had to be nerfed because Schumer was kind of keeping the Gandalf in track, I would say. No Aya changes, no Shio changes, no Megumi changes. I guess. No Josephine changes. Yeah. 4 out of 10. Well, I'm Lima biased, and I will enjoy the Lima. The Schumer is addressed, which was a big issue for a lot of players as well. I would have rather seen Schumer at least keep some of his damage decreased, because right now he's just straight up food. Morris still a war criminal. Morris is kind of countered by the Shihua. Schumar's super dead. Yeah, Schumar's like unruined that thing from RTA 100%. I would give this a 5.5 out of 10. But that is because I'm Lima biased. Because Lima's the biggest winner of the balance patch, and I haven't seen Lima in a really long time. If you don't have a Lima, this is probably a 4 out of 10 balance patch, maybe a 5 out of 10 balance patch by best. If they would have addressed at least 1 or 2 leader skill changes, it would have added 1 more point. If they at least addressed 1 or 2 awakening changes, it would have improved 1 more point. So, easy victories that they could have taken over there. But they didn't go for those, which is kind of lazy. I would say the Aragorn nerf is also kind of the lazy version, which I did predict that they were going to do this. Counters will do just an activation check because they're, how do we change things? More RNG! That's just the main thing that Counters likes to change things. I think Gandalf light nerf is good. Because that thing was a menace, but also makes him a lot worse right now for the people that do have him. So, sorry for y'all guys. Schumar's pretty hard. Well, let's just go from the top. This nerf, good. Gandalf fire nerf, I don't see it. Gandalf wind buff or a fire buff, I don't get it. Or don't really see the value on it. Wind one, similar, don't really get it. This nerf is fine. That buff doesn't change much. Draken Warriors, if they have the absorb on the 40% chance as well, that is a pretty big nerf. So Irration does eat another nerf. Solvark is just gone, I would say. Solvark is only skill 3 by this point. Light Dragon Warrior buff, not sure if that's enough, but sure. Fire Aragorn, don't expect it to be used much, but okay. Dark Aragorn is good that it's addressed. I still expect it to be like 52, 53-ish win rate unit. Dark Zenny is not addressed, which I'm very surprised about. Just like a 10% damage down would already do with that one, I would say. Dokkaebi Lord buff, not sure. This one buff, not sure. The Praha buff is a little bit weird because the big question for me is, does Praha still put herself to sleep? If Praha puts herself to sleep, it is pretty ass. If Praha doesn't boost herself to sleep, then it's a really good buff. I hope that Praha doesn't put herself to sleep, but I guess that she would put herself to sleep still, which is kind of unfortunate. Lima buff seems good, but I would rather like the Lima buff for the skill 3 rather than the skill 2. That is the main thing. Nina Williams, not too sure about these. I'm kind of curious on this Fire Nina. Wait, how are your base stats on the Fire Nina? If she becomes a substantial good enough ignore defense unit, how much attack do you have compared to other peers? Okay, the attack value on you is pretty decent from comparing it to some others. Yeah, how much is that for a max skilled one? You are max skilled, right? Okay, not crazy. It's actually kind of low. But yeah, ignore defense on that. And we'll see how that works out. The Dukes / the Firepauls, not too sure about that. The Trisses, not too sure about that. Dark Triss, a little bit more usable, or at least usable before it wasn't really. Sky Surfer, Double Bomb, more consistency, kind of like that. I think that Zima, Zima with the Steel, you're gonna see more triple Nemesis Zima. So if a Zima's last pick into your AoE cleave, expect it on Nemesis. I can tell you that much. Puppeteer, sure. The Jins, not too sure. Legolas Light, I kind of like it. So Praha doesn't put enemies to sleep now? Nope. Perna's the biggest winner, yeah, I guess. Artmaster, don't feel it. Bayek, should have been 2 turns, and we're talking okay-ish. I think that out of the Nine-Tailed Foxes is mainly the fire one that's kind of trying to counter on Morris, but Morris still a bitch. And then all of the Phantom Thieves, I'm not really feeling them that much neither, to be honest. So that is a balanced patch. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. But it could have easily been a 7 out of 10 if there was like awakening changes, leader skill changes, those kind of things. And I also must say, 5 out of 10 comes out of a Lima bias. Without having the Lima bias, 4 out of 10. So not as bad as previous one, because there are at least few units that you can actually try around, toy around with, try a few new things. But if we're talking like RTA meta, we're still gonna see Megumi, Shiho first pick, Eresh Shiho first pick, Eresh Asher first picks, those kind of things. Like, definitely Megumi actually got a buff by Gandalf being nerfed, technically. So we're still going to see a lot of Megumi flavor in that one, I say. What do you think about the Dokubi Lord? I'm not too sure about the Dokubi Lord. He is okay-ish. I think he can be used. Layla versus Aya, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm surprised Aya did not get a change. Like, how the hell do you not change Aya? Like, that's also the thing. Previous was literally the worst ever. That's very true. Having to get from that to this one, like, you have to mess up real bad again to get to the worst one once again. But I think I'm gonna leave it at that.